The future of AI is agentic. What does it mean? Really, when we started using generative AI, we had systems which we were talking and interacting, and they were giving us information based on their knowledge base. Then it evolved to doing basic tasks like web searches. And now what we are trying to do is, instead of having a conversation with AI, we want to get things done. And that's what we expect the value to come at. So let's say that we had thought of an idea that, hey, can you give me a dinner booking restaurant, or can you plan my travel? Instead of that, we expect the AI to now actually make the travel arrangements. And this narrative is really, really powerful. In order to do this, there are a bunch of fundamental capabilities that are required. You need probably the ability to work with files, you need probably the ability to work with web, kind of interact code, generate code, execute code, probably even work with terminals, execute commands on the screen, control a bunch of things, operations on the, on your laptop or PC or an operating system. Now, where all of this is leading is to a state where you have AI agents doing all of this. Are they perfect? No, absolutely not. That's what we have to begin. We have just started to scratch it. And where we are headed, and this conversation is headed, is I'm going to introduce a framework that does a bunch of things. So Microsoft recently introduced I think this is about 2 weeks back, and I was trying to play with it, experiment and understand. Basically, what Microsoft has done is Microsoft has given a library, a framework, which is called Magentic 1. And this is a generalist multi-agent system for solving complex tasks. So a bunch of things, but we'll go through the website, and this is built on AutoGen. By the way, if you're not familiar with what AutoGen is, it's a framework, it's a library for agentic AI that Microsoft has made public. It's a great library. I've talked about it before. I'll put a link to the video above. Just a quick, walkthrough of it. It's very, very, very frequently updated. There are changes coming in all the time. This library is maturing. There's a lot of API layering conversations going around. Completely open sourced from Microsoft. Obviously, there's a little bit of hooks connected to the .NET ecosystem, but it's still great. Licensing is MIT, and then there's creative commercials, all of that. So if you're not familiar, looked at AutoGen, start there actually, because AutoGen is going to give you the basics first in order to build Magentic 1. You can still look at them independently, but it will be good to kind of understand what AutoGen does and then kind of move forward. Moving forward. So Magentic 1, what is it doing? Here's a very simple architecture for Magentic 1. Right, so we have a task, this point, then there's an orchestrator. An orchestrator creates a dynamic task specific plan. I want to break this down, right? Let's say that in order to make a travel booking, I have to go through a series of steps. I want to get location information, get flight information, get hotel information, get preferences from the user, get the prices, get availability, if everything works well, if the user confirms, do the payment work, and payment integrations can be really complex, right? So doing all of that requires a little bit of dynamic planning that cannot be done beforehand, unless and until you do it absolutely sequentially, and that just takes back to normal workflows. So what they have done in Magentic 1 is they have given us the ability to do file surfer, coder, web surfer, computer terminal, etc., etc. And these are all generalist capabilities, tools as LangChain calls them, function calls as some other libraries call them, but this is what it enables. So there's a bunch of scenarios that are enabled by this, and it's also kind of proven that multi-agent design offers a lot of advantage over a monolithic single kind of a system. So you kind of have distinct agents which have distinct skill sets. It could be development, web, document processing, image processing, audio capabilities. These are all inherent capabilities, all right? So let's move forward. So they have released Magentic 1, open source, we'll go to that. This video is going to introduce it. Next video I'm gonna make an agent and show how it's done. If you are more interested about how to make an agent and slightly simpler, I would suggest you look at my videos around Crew AI. They were uploaded like a week or two back. I'll again put the link in the description. How does this work? So there are two loops. Magentic one essentially implements two loops. The first is an outer loop, which is the uh, kind of the lighter set of line background with solid arrows, and then there's some sort of an inner loop, which is the darker background with dotted arrows. So the dotted arrows kind of are the inner loop, and then the broader loops are kind of the bigger ones. So what happens? There's a task. Somebody says that, hey, do this, this is how needs to be done. And a task is broken down, a task ledger is created, and task ledger will kind of define the facts, based on knowledge bases, based on planning, based on some verified facts, might have access to some static memory information, blah, blah, blah. Then there's another ledger on the right hand side, which is a progress ledger, right? Multiple tasks, one is updated, what's the output, was it useful, not useful, what's the next step, who's gonna next talk about the instruction, all of that. Is the task complete? Yes, no, which is the progress ledger is complete, yes is complete. No, progress is being made, and then keep on increasing as some sort of a counter internally, and then different sort of agents can observe and act based on the orchestration instruction. So if the task needed to write some code, it will go to coder. If it needed to go to computer terminal, it will go to computer terminal. If it needed to go to a web server, it will do that. File server, it will do that. So that's what a Magentic one enables. So 2-3 different kind of elements. One is the core lead agent, call it a supervisor, call it a manager. This is the person, or this is the agent, not a person, responsible for the task decomposition, the task planning, direction, defining the subtask, overall progress, blah, 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 blah. Lot of that. And then there are a lot of smaller tasks like agents, web server, file server, coder, computer terminal, and all of these have different abilities. Like, a web server has an ability to manage a Chromium based web browser. So each request, it's kind of, does the action of going to a website, performing some searches, interacting with the web pages, extracting information, reading information, summarizing it, and then finally, putting it into some sort of a shape. File server will, like some work with some sort of a file systems. It could begin with a basic text-based systems, but can mature. Coder, coding, and computer terminal is computer terminal. Now, all of this also has a lot of different benchmarking. There are risks associated, and then there are recommendations and all of that, which is generic to any AI discussion. Like you'll have some sort of a responsible AI conversation, you'll have some sort of a principle, some security framework, some guardrails, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about that. I have talked about some of those topics as well. Please look my previous videos. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Hit that button, please. That will be a huge help. Share this across. This is not the end. We have to move forward. So ye ho gaya. Overall, what is the frontier looking like? Now, what is the library looking like? It essentially is a set of pre-built agent that sits on top of AutoGen. Do you have to stick with it? No, you can have your own, but somebody has made it, so why not? I think Microsoft is also trying to promote somewhere AutoGen utilization, which is good. So Magentic one interacts with digital world designs for human. That's a caution, which carries inherent risk. To minimize this, reduce some sort of environment. God knows what works, right? Under the hood, there's some sort of a networking bug. It picks some sort of unauthorized access. This is scary, right? You have an AI that has access to internet. It can make a clone of itself and take over the world and whatnot. So there is a little bit of caution. And then this image essentially talks about the same thing, the generalist framework. And then they have put what they had put in the paper overall, just dumped it here. What is important is setup and users. I'll guide through that. Relatively simple. If you have AutoGen installed, this should not be difficult at all. You just do a git clone, you do a pip install, and then you work with Chromium. Like you need some dependencies for these agents to work around. And then once you go through all of this, this works flawlessly. So you'll need some configuration, you'll need OpenAI keys, blah blah blah, or just to be able to have like chat complete करने के लिए, file management के लिए, all of that. So different sort of options are possible. You have obviously OpenAI service, or with OpenAI, sorry, without OpenAI, which is Azure OpenAI service, or directly with OpenAI, so you can use that. You can also have other keys such as web search keys for Bing, etc. And basically these pre-agents would need some API keys to interact and execute those functions. And this is what the setup is all about. Beyond that, it just works pretty straightforward out of the box. In the next video, I'm going to run this out, show it out to you how this looks. All right, so that was it. If you have liked Magnetic One, please subscribe. If you have not liked, still subscribe, put in a comment. This is Akash. Thank you.